Hey ratbags, it's Jay. Today going over the 10 things that New Game Plus doesn't tell you. Grounded's new game mode that you get to access once you've completed the base game, pretty much taking on the Java Matic and 3 of the main bosses, the Broodmother, the Was Queen and the Mantis. Unlocks replayability and the chance to go bigger or go harder and carry on in the grounded world, increasingly difficult enemies, getting new trinkets, new weapons and more. But there's a lot of details lost maybe in the update that Grounded doesn't necessarily tell you, and effectively I'm warning you now before you begin your New Game Plus, just so you're really fully prepared. So if you find this video useful, leave a like and let's go ratbags. My name's Jade. Here is the 10 things Grounded doesn't tell you about New Game Plus. One of the most sought after answers, what's going on with Tier 4? It was teased and spoken about by the devs before the release, and yet we couldn't find any in New Game Plus 1, New Game Plus 2, New Game Plus 3. Where's all the Tier 4 weapons? Simple answer, they don't appear until New Game Plus 4. It does look like there is meant to be some sort of reward or something new, a component in each one of the New Game Pluses. At least up to maybe New Game Plus 5. So what exactly are the Tier 4 weapons? They are random drops through defeating bosses. You can get hold of an infused larvae blade, a black ant sword, the tip mahoney and the toenail scimitar, for example, when you talk about the swords. And obviously a lot more. These apparently have got a 25% chance of dropping when you go ahead and kill certain creatures. In this case for these, it's the infected Broodmother. And yes, I've got a separate video incoming showing you how to get all of the different Tier 4 weapons from what bosses. And these weapons will all have exactly the same stats for the sword. So all 4 of the ones that I just mentioned will be equal, but they will have different random effects on them. And just like a lot of things with the trinkets, if you go to the duper machine and dupe it, it will give you a brand new random effect. Now this, unlike a lot of trinkets that keep that effect on you, you only have that effect obviously when you've got the weapon drawn and using it. And they're pretty much the same effects that you've seen from lots of other trinkets in the game, or possibly other armor and weapons. So the only way to get Tier 4 weapons is by farming bosses and explicitly going for the ones that are going to give you the right gear if you want to try something. You can't craft them, you can dupe them, or just keep farming them. But only once you get to New Game Plus 4. What we do in our time will echo for eternity, or some quote like that. Basically, if you go ahead and mess with the Ant Queens, you've got 3 choices. Although you might only see 1 or 2 depending on the recipes you picked up. By now you should have worked out that if you befriend them, you get the mutation unlocked at level 1. That will mean that the regular ants will leave you alone. At tier 2, the black ants. Tier 3, the fire ants. So befriend all 3 ant queens in the same run and you'll have that mutation unlocked forever where it will keep you safe. Go ahead and poison them and you unlock the different tier armor sets from the strategist set. This is all kind of basic and part of normal grounded progression. But there is a third option that you don't realise until you've begun your next New Game Plus, and that's infection. By infecting the ant queens, you can only do 1 at the beginning, which is the regular ant queen. The next time you join in, you will find an infected version of it. And then you go and feed one of these a hoagie, the same thing that yes, the infected broodmother eats. They won't die, they will in fact unlock something new called a sausager, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, and you'll get access to the spear and the shield, the infected versions. What Grounded doesn't tell you is that if you want to get all 3 infected queens, you can only really do it in New Game Plus 2, because you can't find the recipe to do the black ant queen until you get onto New Game Plus 1, and you can't do the fire ant until you get into New Game Plus 2. So it potentially is New Game Plus 3 before you've done and infected all of the ants and gained access to more trinkets. So I've made this its own separate one. The sausager basically gives you access to cheaper grenades and bombs. You won't need ant eggs to make the brat burst. It also unlocks the tier 3 bomb, the kielbasa, which is much stronger. And you can now start crafting your own trinkets. Infect 1 ant queen and then you'll get access to the kielbasa link that will have 1 effect added to it, much similar to the other trinkets that you've been finding, the crinkles. Infect 2 of the ant queens and you get the tier 2 kielbasa wristbands, and infect all 3 and you'll get kielbasa necklaces as well. So it's up to you. I still think I prefer the method of infecting the ant queen straight away in your normal game, so that in New Game Plus 1 you can go ahead and start crafting a bunch of the kielbasa links and get the ball rolling. But a lot of you guys seem to prefer to say to me that you want to get the mutation so you can be friendly with all ants. So that means you're probably going to save this until New Game Plus 2 or 3. But that means you're going to have to fight infected ants in all 3 anthills if you do it all at once at New Game Plus 2. When you begin New Game Plus 3, yes, you'll have access to the sausager and all 3 different styles of trinkets, but you are going to have a hard time because the mutation doesn't work against the infected ones. On top of this as well, don't forget as well, if you do anything like infect them, kill them, or befriend them, it does reset the next time you jump into the world, unless it is the infection where you'll find the infected Ant Queen. And then if you go ahead and New Game Plus again, the infected Ant Queen will just be replaced by a regular one, and you can start the process again if you've missed out somehow. Number 4, and while we're talking about trinkets, yes, you can de-dupe them to get the jelly, so you can craft more of these new trinkets at your sausager, or use them to craft other stuff, but you can also dupe them. This will give you the same trinket, but with a different stat. So if you've got lots of raw science, you're not planning on using it on any new weapons, you can basically re-roll trinkets, and that's any trinket that you find. The cones, waffles, crinkles, the Globassa wristband, necklace, or the link. Any of these random ability trinkets, you've got a chance to get new attributes on it. So it can be really good once you get to the tier 3. If you don't like something, you can try re-rolling and hopefully unlock something cool. As long as you've got the raw science to pay for it. Where's the potties at? I need my potties, is no one saying. You can only access them in New Game Plus 2. You'll work that out for yourself as it says it in the ASL shop as soon as you go into New Game Plus. That yes, you can't do it until you've gone New Game Plus 2. I hate this. I think it absolutely should be moved to New Game Plus 1. What Grounded doesn't tell you, because it hides the prices, it's 100,000 raw science to buy just 2 of these. Now admittedly, at first I thought you only get 1, but obviously realising you do get 2 at least. So you can create a pair and it will work. You don't craft them, you just simply place them down. If you accidentally smash them, they'll be on the floor like any other item that you'll pick up and then just place again, so you can't destroy them. You can buy lots and lots and lots, I think up to 100, maybe even more, but it's pretty expensive. So yeah, it doesn't really tell you that with the price, and I think it's useful to know how much it's going to cost ahead of time. As you can see, you can chuck weapons through the actual teleportal. Anything can go through here pretty much as well. But be warned, when you do this, it might not always go well. If you're thinking of dropping off some resources pretty quick, absolutely make sure you drop them, not throw anything, because you might find your tools and weapons deep underground where you're not able to access and get them. Milk molars are probably one of the most important resources you can get in New Game Plus, and absolutely make sure that you get every single one of them if you can in your regular playthrough. Why? Because you can't upgrade armor, not unless it's like locked behind New Game Plus 10 or something ridiculous like that, and I don't think too many people have managed to reach it. But at the yoking station, the brand new upgrade station for your weapons, it only works on weapons and tools, it doesn't work on armor. It is no joke taking on enemies in New Game Plus 3, 4, 5, etc. because they'll keep gaining new attributes and effects, but you don't get any improvement in your armor. So you need as many milk molars as possible so that you can increase your health and your other stats. What's confusing people is that it does reset, or seemingly it resets when you begin a New Game Plus. What you should be paying attention to is the number of milk molars that you found, not what the actual stats say. The squares will pretty much be reset and you think, oh no, I've lost all my milk molars, but you haven't. You've still got exactly the same amount of health as you had last time, and any new ones that you'll be able to find, they will contribute and start giving you more health. And I feel this is really vital if you're going to be taking on a lot of enemies, where you can pretty much get one-shotted by anything from an ant to obviously much more dangerous creatures. You may still come across some mega milk molars, but they don't do anything. Well, unless you've missed them. I maxed out all my mega milks, so any ones that I'd found now were pretty useless to me. But I did find one inside the anthill, the black anthill. So they're meant to be randomly generated as well. They're not going to be in the same position as they always were. And any that you maybe didn't find already, I do think they're lost as well. They're going to be gone. But I've got to confirm that with a bit more testing. So yeah, make sure you go and watch it. I've done guides on milk molars. Every tuber who plays Grounded has pretty much done them. Look up Tiny Pirate Gamer though for a really good succinct video on how to get milk molars. Unless anything changes, this is the only way that you'll be able to buff your health massively to hopefully take on some of the tougher levels. So New Game Plus, nearly every bug is going to have an increase in its health and a slight increase in the damage it does. And then you've got the infused bugs, which have attributes. Pretty much every infused bug is going to have the same attribute in New Game Plus 1. The exception to that so far that I've found is bosses. Bosses have more of a chance of having random stats. So New Game Plus 1, you are going to have to deal with a ton of these bugs that do a chance of having explosive damage. In New Game Plus 2, that turns into sour, I do believe. and so forth and so on, so that at New Game Plus 3, infused bugs will have 3 attributes extra with their attacks. Now for some reason I thought this capped at 5, that's what I thought I heard from one of the dev streams, but no, according to Dinky, shout out to him, it goes all the way up to level 10. So you will find regular infused bugs around the yard with 10 new attributes, 10 new ways that they'll be boosted in health or stats or do more damage against you with new attacks. So it's not completely random, and that's the thing that you really need to know that Ground doesn't tell you. I think we kind of were led to believe that a lot of it would be randomized, but it really isn't. It's only the bosses so far that I've come across. One of them had venom, another one had sour, and another one had bomb damage. So in my opinion, even more reason you should get that infected shield and infect the ant before you even begin a New Game Plus mode. And while we're here looking at my footage of me taking on the Java Matic, it is really tough. I gave tips about this before the update. Based on the kind of idea, I knew that infused creatures would be part of this wave. But they have made this significantly harder. They've made it longer, and a lot of the bugs will have more health, obviously, naturally. I think my calculation, the Java Matic fights in New Game Plus are double the length of the original, so you are going to have to deal with more waves of creatures. That's what it felt like anyway. It seemed to take much longer. So yes, make sure you do all them things where you've got a billion diagonal walls protecting your cylinders, otherwise you're going to fail a bunch of times. I did this on a live stream and I failed a huge amount of times before we finally done it. You will need upgraded weapons for sure, specifically obviously your sour axe from the yoking station if you really want a kind of chance. So if you haven't begun New Game Plus, start thinking about getting all the resources needed to make the defences even more bigger and better before you begin, so you're ready for when you start it. And you have to do this every New Game Plus. And this one's relatively minor and something you probably might work out, but there is obviously a new achievement for going big again. So just go into New Game Plus, run over to the machine if you've done everything. I don't want to spoil it too much, but obviously this is what we're leading to, and you will get an achievement if you actually trigger what happens next. But so far, no new cutscenes or any other new secrets revealed, but I'm going to dig deeper. It does look like though that any New Game Plus additions do count towards your scorecard. I had done this world 100%. Obviously, I'd had it built up for that point. I did the 100 days, 100% video, so go and check that out. And I got a 100% scorecard, but you can see it's 87% now. You will have to absolutely get all the baby ants, so befriending them all so that you can peep them. You've got to peep all the ant queens to get the cards. You don't need gold cards anymore, that's been changed. But as part of the data, I still believe you have to go ahead and at least peep every creature, and that includes the crow. That's the new addition as well. There are also a couple bits of new data that you might need to find as well. One's in the remixer room when you go and begin a New Game Plus. And the other one I've already done a short on, explaining where the 5th character is. Or what happens, why there was a 5th character slot. So it does look like you will need all of that before you can get 100% again if you've done everything else. Defeated every boss, got every milk molar. I don't believe New Game Plus resets anything where you have to go and get all the milk molars again in their random spots. But certainly, yeah, I can only explain that I got 87% because I didn't peep all the creatures. It might be a glitch, maybe they're going to fix it so it doesn't really affect things in New Game Plus. We'll have to wait and see. So there we go, that is it. That's my 10 quick things you need to know that Grounded doesn't really tell you about New Game Plus. I've got lots more incoming, lots of tips, lots of guides. So make sure you've subscribed, you've got notification bell dinged, and come and watch me on live streams pretty much in the evenings at 8 o'clock every night. Until next time, Ratbags, I'll see you later.